Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for tuning in again for another episode of Engine Room on this Wednesday of Christmas week in the U.S. We want to wish you a very happy holiday and hope that you're hanging out with people who mean a lot to you. In the meantime, as we get near the end of the year here, we want to take a quick look back and recount the 5 most important people, presented to you in no particular order, who exerted their influence for good and bad over the crypto news cycle this year. I'm joined as always by Mr. Jacob Koch-Gallup. Jacob, what's up?
Hey Dylan, happy to be here.
How was this year for you? What stands out outside of we're about to get into the people who exerted big influence, but what kind of news or standout items are you thinking about as we wrap up this year?
Yeah,
What stories will we tell about crypto in 2021?
I think for me, obviously, because I'm kind of an NFT specialist, it has to be just the major adoption and the narrative of NFTs this year was super exciting.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, we'll definitely going to talk about one person who was pretty instrumental in raising that narrative to the front. But before we get to that person, let's begin with a lady named Hester Peirce. Hester Peirce is SEC commissioner. She's also known as the crypto mom, and she's one of the most vocal proponents of crypto at the federal level. She stands in stark contrast to someone like Gary Gensler, who is lukewarm at best, if not downright anti-crypto. Certainly, Elizabeth Warren has outed herself as distinctly anti-crypto, but never fear, we still have crypto mom Hester Peirce at the highest level of government basically saying this stuff is a solution and it is not a problem. So early in 2020, Hester introduced a safe harbor bill for digital assets that aims to become decentralized over time. And this would provide protection to good faith projects that provide certain information to the SEC but don't register as full securities. In short, she's basically trying to say, hey, crypto community, even though I'm at the top of this particular pyramid, I still got your back and I still think you're cool. That's why we're shouting out Hester Peirce as one of the top 5 most influential people in crypto for 2021. Jacob, who's next on the list in this unranked, no particular order list?
Yeah, I think next we have to give it to Elon Musk. He's kind of a fantasy and also a nightmare for those in the crypto community, as he's a huge memer. That's pretty much his influence on the crypto community, is being a memer.
Don't forget market manipulator as well.
Market manipulator and memer. I think one very interesting meme that he posted last week is a picture of a therapist with their patient sitting on a couch, and the caption to it is, "These NFTs, are they in the room with us now?" So I thought that was really funny. But besides him posting memes and kind of manipulating the price of Dogecoin through his tweets, he also is the CEO of Tesla, and Tesla did earlier this year accept Bitcoin. Then they no longer accepted Bitcoin because of the environmental impact. And I think, unfortunately, this caused a lot of mainstream media and mainstream common people who aren't in crypto to, I guess, first hear about kind of Bitcoin's not so good environmental impact, and then also it raised concerns about NFTs environmental impact. So I think it brought it to the limelight, which may be good for environmental standards, but not so good for us in the crypto community. Also last week, he announced that, or Tesla announced that the merch store for Tesla will start accepting Dogecoin. So he does have a lot of impact in the crypto community, whether it's good or bad or just plain funny memes.
Yeah, after this year, I've come to think about Elon Musk as a kind of crypto Loki, like a guy who is up to good and bad, but he's always up to something. He can't sit still. He can't leave it alone. There's always something going on in his mind about crypto.
Yeah,
At any
that's a
rate,
great way to put it.
he belongs on this list for sure. Whether you love him or hate him, Elon Musk has exerted crazy influence over crypto this year. As for another person in that same sphere, let's talk about Jack Dorsey. Jack had one of the most interesting lives, I think, over the past several years, because he was a CEO for 2 different companies at the same time, 2 publicly traded companies. He was, of course, CEO of Twitter, while also serving as CEO of Square, a big fintech company. I've got no idea how you make that work, especially for as long as he did. But at any rate, if anybody was wondering why Twitter is such a cesspit, why they can't solve any problems surrounding to harassment and things like this, it's because the CEO's real passion, as we learned this year, is fintech and crypto. So Jack is on our list for being a very out there, out in public, out in the world crypto nerd who stepped down from his role as CEO of Twitter to take on working at Square full time. And of course, we have to mention that the company is no longer called Square; it's called Block. And you don't have to be too creative if you're listening to a podcast like this to figure out what he's referencing. That's Jack Dorsey signaling to the world, this is what I'm actually interested in, and it's cryptocurrency. So for those reasons, for Jack Dorsey being another attention getter, another person who helps steer narratives toward crypto mainstreaming, that's why he's on this list and getting mentioned in this episode. Who's next, Jacob? I think we've got a certain somebody who runs a country.
Yes. This is another crypto nerd after Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey. It's Nayib Bukele, who is the president of a small Latin American country, many of you know as El Salvador. And I think it's a great combination of using your power and kind of having that impact millions of people. So his policy, his crypto policy, touches the 6.5 million population of El Salvador. So earlier this year, before the bill was introduced in September, the means of exchange in El Salvador was the US dollar. And he, being a crypto nerd, said, why do we have to use the US dollar? Let's use a cryptocurrency. Let's use Bitcoin. So they put a bill in August, it was, and then it got signed into law on September 7th. And now Bitcoin is used throughout the country. More than 2 million people are using Bitcoin. They have their own native Chivo wallet, which was loaded with $30 of Bitcoin. And I think he's a dreamer. So the thing is, even if Bitcoin blows up and goes to zero, we still commend him for dreaming big, being a Bitcoin dreamer, being a Bitcoin believer. And the more likely scenario is that more nations are going to start adopting crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., as legal tender, and he's going to make his mark as the first president, the first country to sign cryptocurrency as a legal tender, a legal means of currency.
Yeah. It takes a certain kind of brave weirdo who also happens to be president to push something like this forward and actually see it realized. Let's not forget to make quick mention, Jacob, that the El Salvador is literally going to harness volcanic energy for sake of Bitcoin mining.
Yes.
Those photographs and drone shots of a volcano in El Salvador, that's not fake news. That's a pretty serious piece of Bitcoin infrastructure that the country's about to undertake.
Yeah, that either takes a crypto nerd, a super villain, or someone who's absolutely insane to think of using volcanic energy to mine for Bitcoin.
It's good stuff. And last but certainly not least on our list, we have the white-haired wonder himself, Mr. Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is, of course, the founder and CEO of MicroStrategy. This is the year, it seems to me, that Michael Saylor came out as probably the Bitcoin missionary to end all other Bitcoin missionaries. While he's certainly very much leading an information technology company, it seems like what does that mean in practice? He is proselytizing Bitcoin almost every time you see him on television or on a YouTube video. He's talking about the virtues of how and why this stuff works, why it's good, and he's also probably just recently taken on more debt for sake of buying more Bitcoin. Now, there's a very popular criticism of Michael Saylor out there that he had said, and it is recorded, and he did actually say it, that people should take out a mortgage on their house and use that money to buy Bitcoin. We're definitely not going to recommend that, but it's a good indicator of where his head is at on this stuff, which is to say, he is all in and then some.
What do you know? What do you know?
If anybody is,
do you know when he said this?
Just quick history on Michael, real quick, because he doesn't want to be considered a trader. Yes, his company is buying lots and lots and lots of Bitcoin, but it's always been presented as a technology play. I'll remind you, he runs a technology business. He's not a stock trader or anything like this. So it makes me think of an old interview of Michael Saylor in the 90s. But he talks about how and why you should be buying Apple stock for $10 a share. So I don't know exactly what the cost basis is on all the billions of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy owns, but it's in like the 30s or 40,000s perhaps. It's definitely below the
I
current.
think it's
You know,
high 20s, low 30s. Last time I saw in, I think October, it was 27,000, but obviously he keeps buying more and more, so the cost
keeps
basis
buying more.
has
Yeah,
probably gone up.
yeah. So even if that cost basis is going up, he's still way, way, way up overall because we're still trading in high 40s, low 50s right now. At any rate, well, yeah. What do you have to add about Michael Saylor?
Well, I was
Jacob?
just,
Anything?
my question was, do you know when when he said in an interview that you should take a mortgage out on your house?
It's definitely on YouTube, and the clip is absolutely circulating. I don't know that he's ever actually addressed it publicly, but and you know how
Yeah.
these
No,
things
I
can
mean,
go.
my
You,
just
you get
thoughts
on a
is if he said this 2 years ago, he would have been right because you would have doubled, triple,
yeah, yeah,
quadrupled
yeah,
your money.
yeah, 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 yeah. But at any rate, yeah, he did say it, and it's probably not a great idea
No,
now.
no.
At any rate, yeah. So there you have it. The five most important people in the year 2021 in the world of crypto: Michael Saylor, Nayib Bukele, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, and Hester Peirce. Jacob and I, and of course the rest of the Token Metrics team, will be paying deadly attention to what these people and their compatriots are doing in the year 2022. In the meantime, we want to thank you for subscribing to this podcast. Of course, this is called Engine Room. We are on YouTube 3 days a week. We are in audio format in your ears 3 days a week as well. So if you want to listen to this crypto chat while you're driving or cooking or whatever, just find the podcast and subscribe to the audio, and we will continue this conversation into the next year. Yeah, that'll do it for this episode of Engine Room. Thanks for listening, guys.